Jai Gurudev. Jai Masters. We're going to talk about ego. It's very, very, very essential and important in one's spiritual growth to understand ego, to come to peace with ego, to learn to live with an ego. First of all, we can put aside all the complicated psychology analysis. What is ego? It is a collection of thoughts about yourself. It's not your hand. It's not your foot. It's not your tongue. You have a mind. Have you noticed? And the mind stores thoughts. It can have thoughts. The mind is actually an apparatus that creates thoughts. That's what the mind is. I've discussed that with you before. You're not your mind. You know you're not your mind. You say things like, my mind's bothering me today. Oh, my mind's much quieter since I started meditating. My mind won't stop thinking about her since I met her. My mind won't stop thinking about her since he hurt me. Well, wait, my is a possessive pronoun. We don't have to go study English and analyze sentences. My is a possessive pronoun. I want to know whose mind it is. You do it all the time. You say, my mind, don't you? God, that's so deep. I should send you home. No, seriously, that's as deep as it gets. I don't have to teach you anything. You already know it. You say, my mind. Whose mind? Meditate on that, because it's so natural. Because the truth of the matter is, you're in there, and you're aware that there's a mind. You're aware that there are thoughts being created. You don't create all your thoughts. You don't even have control to create all your thoughts, right? I just can't stop thinking about that. Wait a minute, they're your thoughts. I can't stop getting in and out of my car. Just stop. You're the one who's doing it. So, thoughts get created in this thing called mind. Consciousness, awareness of being, you, are aware of that. Otherwise, who cares? Somebody looked at another one said, enlightened being. I remember I was struggling with my mind in those early years, right? I remember back at that original house, I remember reading it. He said, oh, loved ones. He used to talk he'd write that way, right? Oh, my beloved ones. Swami knows now that the mind does not have to stop in order to enter samadhi. Samadhi is the highest state where you've merged with God. The mind does not have to stop to enter samadhi. I've never heard anybody say such a thing. The whole thing was to stop the mind, quiet the mind. The mind does not have to stop to enter samadhi. Of course it doesn't have to stop. The world doesn't have to stop for you to enter samadhi. Your heart doesn't have to stop beating. Your breath doesn't have to stop. You don't have to stop having a body. You just have to stop paying attention to it. What difference does it make what the mind's doing if you don't pay attention to it? Absolutely no difference in any way, shape, or form. It does not have to get quiet. You just have to stop paying attention. Why? Because you're not the mind. The world doesn't have to stop. Somebody can be great masters. You can be talking to someone. You yell at them. No, there's money. That's the eyes will roll up. Oh, bye-bye. Wouldn't that be nice? Okay? The point is, the world, the mind, the heart, nothing has to stop. You just have to stop paying attention. Can you stop paying attention? Sometimes, right? There's lots of times you stop paying attention. You're sitting there and someone's talking to you and you're thinking of something else. They don't have to stop talking, do they? You just have to stop paying attention. And there are times that you stop paying attention when you go to sleep. That's a verb. Go to sleep. Where did you go? I don't understand. The body's just laying there. You can go anywhere. I'm going to go to Grandma's. I'm going to go to New York. Okay, well, you got to go there, right? You said, I can go to sleep. Because you are no longer staying where you were. You in there, the consciousness, are no longer paying attention to the mind or to the body, even to the body. People can go in there when you're sleeping and talk in your room. There are people sleep so deep, babies do. You could touch them. They don't wake up. Where did they go? And who went? That's yoga. That's spirituality. Who's you in there who goes to sleep? Who's you in there that is aware of your dreams? Do you have dreams? How do you know? This is deep spirituality, to talk to you like that. How do you know you had a dream? I saw it. I was there. I was in it. Who was? You. You're the one. When you're not dreaming, you're out here. Doing what? Being aware of what's going on out here. Or you're in there listening to your mind. You're in there feeling your heart. Has anybody ever felt their heart? Has anybody ever felt love? Has anybody ever felt love in their heart? Everybody felt total disturbance and jealousy and insecurity in their heart? Yes or no? Yeah. Or anger? Who's feeling these things? Is it the same you who feels love that feels anger? Are you aware of love? Are you aware of anger? It's the same you. There's only one you in there. So this consciousness is aware that thoughts exist in the mind. That's how it's supposed to be. You notice the thought, fine. You want to pay attention to it, pay attention to it. You don't want to pay attention, don't pay attention to it. But you notice you're not able to do that. And we'll talk about why. So all of spirituality is returning to the seat of self. That's what it is. Returning to the seat of self. What does that mean? It means you in there that is aware of the thoughts, you in there that's aware of the emotions, you in there that's aware of what's coming in through your senses, have nothing to do with those things. It's a question of consciousness and object of consciousness. I'm in here looking, what am I looking at? Subject-object. It's subject-object. I'm the subject, and there's all these objects. And one of the objects is thoughts. And every single thought is exactly the same. Every single thought is exactly the same. If I'm sitting there looking at the ocean, there are waves, ripples and waves. It's the same. It's something that's happening on the surface of the ocean. But it doesn't make one's a little bigger, a little smaller, it goes to the left, it goes to the right. They're the same. They're just wavelets in the ocean, right or wrong. They're just thoughts being created in mind. They're just wavelets in the mind. They can be nice, they can be not nice, they can be X-rated or R-rated or PG. It's just, go and start labeling the wavelets in the ocean. Oh, I don't like that one. That one's adorable. That's what you're doing with your thoughts. You think there's good ones and bad ones and things you like. They're just thoughts that are being created in the ocean. Think of the mind as ocean. Ocean can be still. Really, it can be completely still. And then something disturbs it and then it starts making ripples. The mind can be still. I like that you think of the mind as ocean or a lake. There it is. It's just, what are thoughts? Ripples in the lake. They're ripples in the lake, and they're all the same. All right. So mind is the substance, the essence, the ocean, the lake, call it whatever you want, the field of energy in which, when it ripples, thoughts happen, and you're aware of that. What is ego? Well, first of all, I want you to think of a submarine right now. Think of a submarine. Visualize it. Now visualize a hot air balloon. Now visualize the rings around Saturn. Now move the rings from Saturn to Mars. Put rings around Mars. You can do these things, can't you? You can think anything you want. You can think about the galaxies. You can think about amoebas. You can think about anything. The mind can think about anything, can't it? All right? There are a set of thoughts that are created in the mind that aren't about Saturn. They aren't about amoebas. They're about you. What do I like? I don't like that. I wish this would happen. I don't want that to happen. I can't believe that happened to me. I didn't want it to happen to me. I'll never forget that. It'll be in my mind all the time. You have thoughts about you. Does anybody have thoughts about themselves? What do I want? What do I not want? Who do I like? Who do I not like? How do I get what I want? How do I make sure I don't get what I don't want? Here, I can't believe that happened to me 20 years ago. I can't. It's just, they're thoughts. They're just like any other thought. Here's a thought. Saturn has rings. Here's a thought. I don't know if I like my husband anymore. It's a thought. They're thoughts. And it's the same you. You can be in there and say, well, I don't know if I like her anymore. I can't believe she did that. Oh, I was wrong. She didn't do that. She was trying to get ready to tell me that she loved me so much. Thoughts just change. Just like that. There's no difference in those thoughts. They're just little riplets in the mind. So the mind creates thoughts. But I'm telling you, if you paid attention, unless you're like a scientist that gets to think about other things a lot, right? 95% of your thoughts are about you. What do I want to do? What do I want to like? On and on. Just about you. That's ego. Nothing else. It's just a collection of thoughts about you. Do you have to think about you? No. You can think about the submarine. You can think about Mars. But I guarantee you, you think about Mars, and the thought's going to say, why am I wasting my time thinking about Mars? How am I going to get what I want? I don't have enough money. So the mind has a collection of thoughts in it. Doesn't have to, but it does. And we'll talk about why. Has a collection of thoughts in it that are completely about you, period. Your thoughts about you are different than her thoughts about her. Why? The ego's made up of the sum of your learned experiences, how you digested or didn't digest the experience that happened to you. So you were married to someone named Ben, and you got all kinds of thoughts about Ben. And he's got all kinds of thoughts about Shirley. And he's got no thoughts about any of them because he never married anybody, but she wants to, and she wants to know who she's going to marry. It says you have experiences. Let's throw it that way. What is the raw material of which thoughts are created? Experiences. Psychology says man is the sum of his learned experiences. We know they really mean men and women or people. Man is the sum of his learned experiences. That's the truth. And it's not the truth that you are the sum of your learned experiences. You are the awareness that is aware that your thoughts in your mind are the sum of your learned experiences. Your psyche is the sum of your learned experiences. What else can it be? You haven't experienced anything else. And when you have experiences, some of them are very strong. You have experiences that you really, really like when they come in. That's an outside experience. Somebody walks up to you and says, "Oh my God, you're beautiful. I've never seen anybody as beautiful as you in my entire life. I was love at first sight. You walk on water. How we doing?" Somebody walks up and says, "Oh my God, they told me you were a nice person. I can just look at you and see you're full of it. I don't want to do with you. Get away from me. You're standing too close. How you doing?" So there are experiences outside that when they come in are comfortable because their vibration is comfortable. Everything has a nature. If I yell at you, it's a different nature than I'm talking sweetly to you. So when it comes in, it has a vibration. And you then had that experience. But you didn't have 800 billion other experiences at the same time. You had that experience. That is carving, creating, molding your thought patterns. Okay? You have lots of experiences. Listen to me. This is the essence of deep teaching. You have lots of experiences. In fact, most of the experience you have every single day come right in and go right through. You don't store them in your mind. Your mind experiences them. You ever see white lines on the road? Ever notice they're dotted, not dotted, yellow or white, or dripply? You don't keep that. You can bring it back if you want to. But it's not coming up by itself. It's not part of your ego. I'm the one who saw a dotted line. You don't do that. Ever see trees? Like when you're driving down the road and see trees? Ever see cars in LA, the expressway? You're not holding it. It's coming in. Oh God, this is so deep. You think, why doesn't he talk about something deep? This is deep. All those experiences are coming in, but you're not keeping them. You do have memory, like a computer has memory. It doesn't have to do anything. It just stores it in memory. But it doesn't come back up. It doesn't bother it. So you have experiences that come in. They enter your mind. They create ripplets in the mind. You experience them and they pass. Why? Because you didn't stop them. Who? Me? You in there. I'm talking. It's all about you. It's all about the self. Do you have the ability to hold on to thoughts? That's called will. What is will? I'm not going to say any more. You know what will is. Will is the ability that you in there, the consciousness, have to touch stuff in there. You can push thoughts away. Freud calls this suppression. It's very beautiful. I love Freud. It's very beautiful. He talked about all this, about all that went on in the mind. But he didn't talk about who suppressed. See the difference? We study the fact that suppression has taken place in there. What does that mean? It means that thoughts have been held in there. The wavelet didn't go away. It froze. It froze in there and it keeps coming back up. And he says that determined all your behavior. That's why you're a murderer. That's why you're this, all that stuff. Because different things happened to you in the past that you weren't able to let go of. They froze in there. Did they freeze by themselves? No, they did not. You use this power you have inside called will. Do you or do you not have the ability to manipulate thoughts in there? Cling to them. Can you cling to them? Have you had something really nice happen? You don't want to let it go? You keep thinking about it, keep holding on to it, comes back 10 years later. I wish it could be like this again. So it didn't pass by like the trees or the car or the white lines. Why? It was the same. It was atoms, light bouncing off atoms coming into your mind. How come it stayed? Because you did it. So don't you ever let anyone tell you you don't have willpower. You have will. You know darn well you have will. Here, the mind says, I want a glass of water. Do you have to take it? Do you have to take that glass of water because your mind said, I'm thirsty, I want a glass of water? You know darn well you don't have to. Use will all the time. That will, which is the power of consciousness, when consciousness focuses, there's a power that comes with it, like a magnifying glass in front of the sun has a power. It can burn. It can do things. It concentrates. When your consciousness, your awareness of being concentrates on something, it brings down the power of self, the power of God, the power of creation, literally. Notice when the white line goes through, you don't concentrate on it. But when your girlfriend drives by hugging somebody else, you concentrate on that. You focus on it. See, that's the difference. It's because you focused on it that it stays. You brought that power down there and you froze it. All right. That's why things stay in your mind. But I told you, the vast majority of everything you ever experienced passed right through. All the trees, all the grass, and how many things are there? You're standing there freaking out because there's a snake in front of you. Well, there's also grass, there's clouds, there's all kinds of things. I don't understand. It's just they're all atoms. Why are you freaking out? Well, because you concentrate on that, and therefore it stays inside. I don't like snakes. I don't want to see it. It scared me. How old was that? When I was 5? How old are you? 85? I still don't like them because you stored it. Do you understand how deep what we're talking about is? I'm talking about why it's like it is in there. You did it. There's nobody else. Hey, is anybody else in there? Mommy in there? Daddy in there? Anybody in there? You're in there. Everything that's going on in there, you did, ultimately. So you store certain thought patterns by concentrating on them, but you don't normally do it. You just do it with ones that you liked or you didn't like, ones that felt good and ones that didn't feel good. You store those inside because you don't want them to happen again, which I've already told you is very funny, that you didn't like it, so you store it. Something's weird about that. Go to a restaurant and be served some food that made you sick. Oh my God, this is something wrong with this. The first bite is it's wrong. Go call the waiter or waitress over and say, oh, could you please package this together for takeout? I want to take it home. Okay, package it, go in there, and there's a room in your house called sick room. And you put every single thing that ever made you sick inside the sick room. Why? I don't want to forget how sick this made me. So every single day in the morning, you walk in and you taste a little bit of the things that made you sick. So you know not to do them again. That's what you're doing in your mind. What a stupid thing to do. Right? Do you or do you not store that which bothered you? But the reason is you stored it because you didn't like the vibration and you didn't want it coming all the way in. I don't want it touching me to the depth of my being. Some things you do, right? Hug me. If I like you, hug me. Otherwise, get away from me. So things you don't want to experience that happened, you try to keep at a distance from you. That's what suppression is. That's what resistance is. That's why you do it. You don't say, oh, I hate this, I think I'll keep it. What you say is, I don't like this and I don't want to experience it. Well, it's happening. I don't experience it. So I push it away so it doesn't come all the way back into my consciousness. All right? There's so much I can talk to you about. Have you ever had an experience that you said, it touched me to the depth of my being? I felt like I was in the presence of God. It just moved me. Music can do it. It doesn't have to be kisses. Music can do it. Things can do it. Art can do it, can't it? It blew me away. All right? It blew my mind. I love your words. What does that mean, it blew my mind? It means that thing that was usually thinking about me wasn't thinking about me. The sunset was so gorgeous. I turned the corner. Oh my God. I just felt so much energy. It blew me away. It touched me to the depth of my being. That is so powerful. That means you're in there and you didn't resist. You let it come all the way in and pour into the ocean of your consciousness. That's beautiful. You like those experiences? Well, the trouble is, when you don't want it to come in, it doesn't feel good, you keep it out of there. It pushes it away. Get away from me. I don't want this touching me deeply. And when you do that, it stays inside. Isn't that hilarious? That's why it seems stupid to say store what you don't like, but that's how it happens. Because your consciousness focuses on it to push it away. I don't want to experience this. You reject it. You push it away. I see, you're afraid of dogs, and there's a pack of dogs. They happen to be nice dogs, but they're neighbor's dogs, but you don't know that. Or you don't care because you're afraid of dogs. And the neighbor's calling them, and they're starting to run past you. But I don't want the dogs getting close. You don't like the dogs barking and getting close to you, do you? Some of you do, but most of you don't. So what do? Shoo! Get away! Get away! Get away from me. Keep them at bay. Keep them away. Well, then they can be there forever. Because you couldn't handle that they were trying to run past you, they're going to stay there. Well, that's what happened with your thoughts. I'm building ego right now. And that's why all of you are different. And that's why psychology says man's the sum of learned experiences. No, you're not the sum of your learned experiences. You're the consciousness that is noticing that your mind has been molded Remember, mind can think anything, but your mind has been molded by the sum of your learned experiences. These are ones I liked, so you stored it there. Buddhists say the word clinging. I'm not letting this go. I liked it. I want to think about it, don't you? I want to think about it. I want to think about next time you come and say nice things to me. But I'm not saying them now. Yeah, but in my head you are. I kept them, or I pushed them away. This is how you built your ego. What is your ego? Your false self. It's your self-concept. Isn't that what psychology says? Your self-concept? A concept's not a real thing, is it? The word concept doesn't mean this is what really happened. A concept is something you make up in your mind. Do you know what a blah, blah, blah tastes like? No. Do you have some concept what it might taste like? Sure. I'll make something up. That's what a concept is, something you make up in your mind. Notice they call your ego your self-concept. It's not real. It's not who you are. But you stored this stuff inside, either because you liked it or you didn't like it, and you started to hold on to these certain wavelet patterns, and then, they became who you think you are. I'm the one who likes this. I'm the one who doesn't like this. I'm the one who believes in this. I don't believe in that. Who cares what you believe? Sorry. A belief is something you make up in your mind and hold on to. This is my belief. I'm standing by it. Congratulations. It's meaningless. It's just a thought pattern in the mind that you hold on to. Well, what if you fall in love with somebody that doesn't believe what you believe and doesn't like that you believe it? I don't believe it anymore. Come on, don't blush. You hear me? It's just, these are meaningless things. They're just wavelets in the mind. But you froze some of them because you held on to them. Well, what if something happened 10 years ago that I really didn't like? That I didn't let it come in. That's all. I didn't like it. My parents got divorced. I was 5 years old and I didn't like my stepfather. I just didn't like the whole thing. All right? Is it still in there? Of course it's still in there. Why? I didn't let it in. I didn't let it through. I didn't let it pass. What happens when someone says to you, oh, I had a stepfather, really liked him, and then go on inside of you? Pain, disturbance. It hits it. It hits what you stored in there, doesn't it? Triggers it. Those are the words they use. It comes back up. How does it feel? Exactly like it felt 10 years ago. Yes or no? Why? Because you stored that. You go taste that food in the sick room, it's going to taste exactly the same and make you just as sick as when you put it in there. You stored that thing. Therefore, if it gets stimulated and comes to the surface of mind, it feels exactly the same. You can freak out when you see a blanket that's the color what your blankie was, and they took your blankie away too soon. Go talk to psychology. That's what's going on inside of you. So you built this, you didn't mean to. It was like a natural reaction. I didn't like it. I pushed it away. So it's stored inside. I liked it, so I held on to it. And that's what's stored in there. And now I'm the person that likes this. I'm the person that doesn't like that. That's who you define your I. That's ego. Now, do you understand? Ego is not an egotistical person. That's just an extreme use of it. No, ego is what you stored in this beautiful ocean of mind that can think anything. You stored these things that have tremendous power. Why does ego have so much power? It is what you most liked and what you most didn't like in all your past experiences. So if they come up, you pay attention. If you start thinking about something that happened 20 years ago that you really, really liked, you start crying. You hold your heart. You think, oh my God, so beautiful. Are we kidding me? You're 20 years, you're 7 years old. Right? But it does do that, doesn't it? Or something happens, you start thinking about something that bothers you, you get all disturbed, you get weird. In fact, you say to people, I told you not to talk about that. You know I don't like when you talk about that. There's ego. You built a you out of these past experiences that you liked or didn't like. And by the way, that's where your likes and dislikes come from. Like there's a saying, I told you, you think I'm not talking deep. This is the deepest spirituality that can ever be taught. But I haven't used the word God. Fine. Because you won't know a single thing about God until you transcend your ego. What do you mean? There's a line, one of the deepest lines ever, Ramos used to say, was one of the deepest lines he ever read in spirituality, right? It's the first line of the Treatise on Faith Mind by the third Zen patriarch. The line is, the great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. That's a very powerful line. First of all, what's the great way? Enlightenment. The highest state you could ever reach is not difficult. Whoa. I can't even stop my mind for a minute. What do you mean it's not difficult? The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. But what happens inside of you, most people really, if you pay attention to it, is, well, no, my life is about getting my preferences. My life is about having happen what I prefer to happen and not having happen what I don't prefer to happen. I've devoted my entire life to that. I've decided what I want to happen, and who I want to marry, and what I want to happen, what I want children, and I have preferences. How'd you get preferences? Where'd you get your preferences from? You think you made them up? You did not make them up. Your past experiences left impressions inside of you, because you kept them there, and you think, when I grew up, my sister, there's just two of us. I didn't like it, because my parents liked my sister better, at least I think they did, and I wish we had more siblings, and it could be more even, and so on, right? So now, you want a big family. You were an only child. You loved it. You got all the attention. You liked it. You got all the presents at Christmas. There was no competition. There was nothing. Now you only want one child. You did not choose what you want. Your past impressions and your past experiences left impressions in there that determine what you think it will be nice. You think opposite what she does. You got an experience tomorrow that changed your view about how many children you want to have. You meet somebody, oh yeah, we had 15 children. It's like, don't your preferences change over time? They're not who you are. They're molded by the experiences you stored inside of you. Not molded by all your experiences. White lines didn't determine your preferences. The stuff that goes right through, you're done. You're free. By the way, be here now means it all passed through. It passed right through. So you now can be here now. You don't have to be there then. Being there then means a lot more than being here now, because you can't do it. When you're not here now, you're there then. All your thoughts are molded by their past experiences. All right. What is ego? Now you're getting an idea. Your mind can think anything, but because you stored these past experiences in the mind, like frozen wavelets, everything now is affected by those. Anything that comes in hits the frozen wavelets. Now you see it in relationship to the stuff you froze from before. Everything you see, it processes in there. You know I don't like that. I really like when you do that. I don't like the bow tie. I told you not to wear the bow tie. Why? Why don't you like the bow tie? Well, I saw a movie and only an idiot was wearing a bow tie. Your preferences are not who you are. They're leftover noise from things that you had in the past that you liked or disliked. But now you're trying to either have them again or not have them again. And you've devoted your life to manipulating everybody and everything in your life. So it's what you want. How do you determine what you want? These past frozen experiences. That's your ego. That's your self-concept. And if I ask you who you are, I'm the one who's married to Ben. You didn't exist before you married Ben? I'm so-and-so's mother. So you were nobody before she was born. No. You're the consciousness staring at this collection of thoughts that we call your ego. How's that working out? How's that working out? Staring at that collection of thoughts you call your ego. I can tell you right now. That's why Buddha's a very high being. But then he must have been pretty negative. Because he's the first noble truth of Buddha is all life is suffering. Well, that's pretty negative. All of life is suffering. Who? Everybody. All rich people, poor people, old people, young people, married people, divorced people, people with children, people without children. All of life is suffering. Whoa. Buddha, what's wrong with you? What kind of view of life is that? The truth. Because Buddha went much deeper. Of course, you don't suffer every single second. Sometimes you get what you want. You're not suffering. Sometimes you get what you want, but then you're afraid you could lose it. Aren't you? Sometimes every single thing is so nice that it makes you scared that it won't stay that way. You met somebody, you love them with all your heart. My God, I've never felt so much love. But now you're afraid that they'll leave you. What will I do if you left me? I'm not leaving you, but you could. Well, that's a true statement. It's like, in other words, you're going to suffer. You suffer when you get what you like. You suffer when you get what you don't like. Right? She won't drive in a car. She won't ride in a car. Why? What, are you stupid? Those things are dangerous. When I was 6 years old, my parents died in a car accident. There's no way I'm getting one of those things. She won't get on an airplane. She's a grandma. She wants to see her grandchildren. But no, I'm not getting on a plane. Those things go down. I've seen it. I've seen it on TV. They go down and people die. You get quiet because you know I'm telling the truth. Like, give me a break. Airplanes are way safer than cars. 1,000,000 times safer. Yes, there could be a big one that they put on TV or you see a movie. It made an impression inside your head and you held on to it. And now you can't get in a car. Now you can't do this. Now you can't go swimming because you saw a snake in a pond once. Do you know that there are sharks? Anybody know that? But people actually go in the ocean? They go swimming? Oh my God, that must be so stupid. There's sharks in there. You see what I'm saying? You did this. You held on to this stuff. You're stupid enough to watch Jaws 3 times, right? And so now you can't go swimming. Am I telling the truth or not? Okay, so all of life is suffering. It's not. It's just life. But you are making it suffering. Why? Because you have preferences. You have things you want it to be and things you don't want it to be. Therefore, your mind is suffering. Your ego is a suffering machine. I'm going camping tomorrow. Well, that's not suffering. It might rain. Oh my God, I'm checking the weather forecast constantly. And I'm getting upset. If it says 70% chance of rain, I'm all upset. Right? If it's down to 30, I feel much better. And it pours, believe me. They say it's 5% chance of rain. Here comes the tornadoes, right? Look what you're doing. You have developed these preferences based upon your past experiences. And now you're saying, I'm only happy if what I prefer takes place. And I will never be happy if it doesn't take place or if what I don't want takes place. And I showed you where they came from. Like I said, we haven't used the word God. This is the deepest spirituality you will ever hear. Do you understand that? It's telling you why you're not with God instead of telling you about God. Because you ain't going anywhere if you're with your ego. What did Christ mean when he said, you must die to be reborn? You have to let go of that ego. You have to die of who you think you are in order to be who you are. So now, have we built an ego? Does it hit home with you guys? Do you see it? All right? So is it not true that you have devoted your entire life to satisfy your preferences? Come around me and I feel love. I want to marry you. I want you with me all the time. Now I don't feel love when I'm around you, but I feel love when I'm around him. Bye-bye. Or at least, I wish I could do bye-bye. But now I hate you because I can't say bye-bye because I'm Catholic and I can't get divorced. Or you have all the money and I don't know how to take care of myself. So I'm coping with the fact that I'm not getting what come on. Is that familiar? I can give you 7 billion examples. All right? So you've developed preferences in your mind because you blocked your mind with the stuff you stored. So stuff that comes in now can't touch you unless it passes by the filter of your mind. You check it out first, don't you? Do I like this? Do I like his bow tie? Do I like this? Do I like how he stands? Do I like his height? Do I like the thing? Do I like how close he stands to me? Do I like what he said? Do I like what somebody told me about him? Come on. It has to pass through the filter of what you held inside your mind. And if it passes through, you feel some openness. Remember, it touched me to the depth of my being. Stuff can't touch you to the depth of your being. There's no way you're letting it happen. It's a rare experience that something touches you to the depth of your being, isn't it? Guess how it's supposed to be. Every single moment touches you to the depth of your being. That's what enlightenment is. Every single moment comes in. Nobody's filtering it. Like you met somebody. They weren't very nice to you. 30 seconds. They say hello, or they just dished you a little bit. You felt, you don't like that person. Give me a break. You don't know that person. There's no way in the world you know that person. Their father just died before they saw you. They ate some pepperoni pizza, and they were a vegetarian. You know what I mean? You have no idea at all why that was the way it was. But I'm telling you, you don't like that person. And you tell the people, I already met her. I don't have anything to do with her. So you've stored these impressions inside your head, and now the world comes in, but it can't make it to you. It can't make it purely to the consciousness. It has to pass through the filter of the ego. Why? Because that's what's in there. You're back behind it all. And it comes in from outside, and then it passes up in there, and it makes the impression on your mind. It has to pass through your mind to get to you. You understand that? And so it does, and it doesn't make it. It is all filtered by likes and dislikes. That's why the great way is not difficult. Those have no preferences. If you don't have that garbage, and it's garbage, well, what I like isn't garbage. Oh, yes, it is. What you like makes you suffer. Go to a restaurant. Have a perfect experience, a wonderful experience. Now go take your friends. Don't do it. It's a different chef, there's different things, somebody's smoking, the music's different, the waiter doesn't know, you know what I'm saying? Can you ever recreate how impressive and beautiful the first kiss was? Never. And believe it or not, you're judging. You love me more, I just know, I can feel it's different. You never close your eyes anymore when I kiss your lips. You hear me? You're judging every single experience in comparison to the ones you stored before. It's never going to happen again. It can't. There can't be another first kiss. Can there? Well, except with somebody else. And that's why you run around. I was just talking so honest to you, right? You sit there and say, yeah, but I'm sorry, but when I kissed her, it felt like when I kissed you that first time 10 years ago, and I really liked it. And so I'm sorry. I have to leave. You better blush, because that's what you're doing. There's no way it will ever be the same. It's the first time it surprises you. You don't have a structure inside that blocked that. It caught you by surprise, and it touched you to the depth of your being. I guarantee you, have you ever turned the corner and the sun is setting and the colors, oh my God, they're so beautiful, and it just blows you away? That doesn't happen to an astronomer who studies the sun. Doesn't move him one iota. In fact, I'll promise you, the person whose PhD is on an eclipse did not have the same experience that you did if you saw this eclipse. Because you would say, whoa, wait a minute, it's not the way I wrote it. I wonder if that umbrella will do this. Hear me? He's got something in his mind. It has to pass through that. What if it's exactly the way you wrote your PhD about that no one thought was true, and here's the experiment, and it was exactly the way your PhD wrote? You're in ecstasy. This eclipse is the most important thing ever happened to you. What if it didn't match what you wrote? You hate eclipses. I'll never look at the sun again. Truly, every time you look at the sun, remind you, am I telling the truth or not? The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. Every way is very difficult for those who have preferences. Is it not true? All right? And yet you're devoting your life to what your ego is saying in your mind. Because you've, one, never been taught otherwise, and second, even if you have, you don't stand a chance. Why? Because the things you stored and the ego's talking about are power-packed. They're exactly the things that had the most impact on you. You didn't store the white line. There's nobody freaking out over the white line. Unless you're the person who paints the white line, and you're only allowed to have 4 times that you had driplets, and this was your 4th time, and you got fired. You don't like white lines anymore. Or imagine if you saw a dripple white line. Did he get fired? I got fired. You've got this stuff stored in there. You stored it in there. Now whatever comes in has to pass through that. And it doesn't make it. It's very rare because you've had so many experiences, and the same experience when you were 5 was nice. You had a beautiful bonfire outside with your parents, and so you love fire. Now your house caught fire 5 years ago. You're bifurcated. Now you see how big the word ego is. That's your ego. The sum of your learned experience that you kept in there, that you're now defining yourself as a person who likes this, doesn't like this. Who are you? I'm the person whose house burned down. My God, you would be a person if the house didn't burn down. You're in there, but you've made such a big deal out of these experiences that you couldn't handle. What if you could handle if the house burned down? What if you didn't even like the house? You had a lot of insurance. You have a totally different experience, all right? If the world comes in and you can handle it, not like it or dislike it, I can handle it. White lines, trees, people, things, they're coming in and going by. Now I can experience the moment in front of me. That's why it's spiritual, because now I can be present in the moment and things can touch me to the depth of my being. Which things? All things. Well, what about death? Let's get that straight. No one wants to talk about death. I want to talk about death. What is death? A once-in-a-lifetime experience. Now you say that. That astronaut just went up, a 90-year-old guy, all right? He went up and he said it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Well, so is death. In fact, death is the ultimate once-in-a-lifetime experience. And if you're afraid of death, which I don't know how you get to be afraid of death. You haven't seen it yet, all right? But you're afraid of death. You don't want to die. Nobody wants to die. Maybe it's really nice. You don't know, okay? But you're not open to it. It can't pass through you. What if everything's passing through you, and then you're on your deathbed, and it's the most exciting thing in the whole world? You're going to find out whether you're there on the other side of death or not. You can read all you want, believe what you want. You're going to find out. Every single one of you is going to find out at some point whether you're going to be there after the body dies. That's the most mystical question that ever existed. People write all kinds of things about it. They're trying to prove everything. No, you'll find out, won't you? Yeah. Well, that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. But you say, yeah, but I don't want to find out because I might not be there. It might not be nice. They told me this is hell, and it's not that much fun. All right? In other words, it can't pass through these patterns just stored inside your mind. Just like you can't have the first kiss again, you're not willing to experience the most important experience that you'll ever have once in a lifetime in your life. You're not open. You're not clear. Oh, yeah, I want to do that. I want to do that because Jesus or Buddha or anybody's going to come down and help me across it. So you're lying there waiting for Buddha and Jesus to come down. So you can't experience death because you already have something in your mind that you're trying to make happen. Oh, it didn't happen. I didn't see Jesus. I saw Buddha. I don't believe in Buddha. Why Buddha come down and help me? I want Jesus. Then you have a terrible experience, right? It's all the same. Ego is a problem. And you think ego is the solution. You think that when ego says, I'll be happy if he likes me, I'll be happy if she leaves me, I'll be happy if this happens, I'll be miserable if anything. Ego's telling you this stuff, and you're believing that's who you are. You believe that that's the meaning of your life. The meaning of your life is to get what you want and avoid what you don't want. That's what you do every single second of your life. Do you want to go? No, I don't think so. Do you want to go? Yeah, I think so. That's a simple thing like that. It means your past experiences at that moment came up and told you, yeah, that'll be fun again. You want to bet? Go to Hawaii. During the volcanoes. Didn't turn out so good, did it? There's nothing that's the way you think it's going to be. Nothing will ever. That's why you have trouble. Why do you have trouble making decisions? Don't raise your hand. Anybody have trouble making decisions? Okay, of course you have trouble making decisions. Here's what you call a decision. I have this ego. What is it? A blockage. It's a blockage in my mind. It keeps reality from coming in and letting my soul touch it. It's a blockage in my mind, a particular under construction. It can't go around it, all right? Okay, fine. I have to make a decision. What are you trying to do? I'm trying to let my ego create thoughts and see what they feel like. Do you want to get married? Well, wait a minute, I'll give my career. I get to do this. I always wanted to do this. To who? What do they think? What about my parents think? What? Yeah, I want to get married. 2 seconds later, well, I don't know. It's like trying on a dress or a suit. You're trying it on for size. Isn't that what you're basically doing? What will it feel like to my ego when it comes in? What will it end up feeling like? Okay, maybe it'll feel good for the first year, but how do I know it's going to be like for the next 5 years? There's no way you know anything. You're going to have new experiences. Every day of your life becomes the sum of your learned experiences. You're sitting here in this spot with the sum of your learned experiences at this time, trying to decide what you will like 5 years from now. Oh, it doesn't make you neurotic. How could you possibly make a decision if that's how you're basing it on? Because you say, yeah, I can see that because I talked to Paul and he was really happy after 5 years when he did this. Yeah, but what if my husband doesn't turn out to be the same as what? It's just the mind can do anything. So of course you can't make decisions. Like when people tell me they can't make decisions, I'm so happy that you're talking about it. Hey, I'm going to ask you a question. Are you psychic? Are you omniscient? You know the future. You know every single thing that's going to happen. Does your mind know everything? Yes or no? Therefore, you can't make decisions like that because it's all unknown. Here's how you make a decision. It's unknown. Let's boogie. Let's take the ride. Let's go for a ride. You're open. You're an open being, willing to let reality unfold, and you're going to deal with it. Here's the highest thing you'll ever know about a decision. I'm going to be fine. Why? Because I said so. Who decided you're not fine? You. Who decided, oh, I shouldn't have done this? You did that. Your mind did that. Just stop that stuff with your ego. And just sit there and say, I'm in here, and there's a tiny little world unfolding that I'm going to have some experiences. I can't wait. They're going to be so much fun. Why? Because I said so. You're the one who said they weren't. It's hilarious. You're sitting there defining how you think it should be, and it's going to be, and when it's not that way, you don't like it. Stop it. Just sit there and say, I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy to have experiences. It's going to be far out. If it bothers me, that's my fault that I couldn't handle reality, and I'm going to learn. I'll learn to be open. I'll learn to handle reality. Now you see it's spirituality. Now do you see you have an ego? Do you see how big it is? How about this? It's your entire world. How often do you think about Saturn and Mars? How often do you think about that 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun? Well, if 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun and you're just sitting on a stupid little dot that 1.3 million fit inside the sun, you can't have a problem unless you decide to. All right, I'll give you another one. What did you do yesterday? You did a 360 on your axis. Did you not? See, you don't think like that. You sit in a planet that rotated on its axis. What did you do last year? A big 360. That's all you did. You sat on a little planet that orbited the sun. Okay? You'd be much happier if you thought like that. But you can't think like that because your ego is so strong that all it thinks about is me. What I like and what I don't like and what I want and what I don't. But in truth, that's what's happening. What I just said was happening. And I tell you, 1.3 million Earths inside the sun, and the sun is one of hundreds of billions of stars in your galaxy. And there are trillions of galaxies. And you care about the blemish on your chin. Or the fact that Paul didn't say hello. At least it didn't have the same warmth as last time he said hello. And why is he walking with her? You see? Ego runs your life, doesn't it? Shh, don't tell them I told you that. Does it have to run your life? No. What's life like when you've thinned out the ego? To whatever degree you thin out the ego, your life is better. Why? More things can touch you. Less things close you. You're a wholer being. This is all of spirituality. Okay, but you have to understand that ego runs your life. Now we see it. Well, how does one do that? We only have a few minutes left. That's how long it takes to learn the entire path to go from pain to joy, from darkness to light. How does one do that? You learn to handle your ego. To get rid of it? No, that's not handling it. You learn to come to peace. You know, cry. You learn to come to peace with the fact that you have an ego. Now all of a sudden, you have an ego. You, the consciousness, is distant enough, centered enough, clear enough, objective enough, witnessing enough, use any word you want, to notice, oh, that's what Mickey was talking about. Here it is telling me to suffer. Here it is telling me I don't like this. Telling me, oh my God, I will never be happy unless he comes back. Well, you just made your happiness very conditional. A pretty stupid thing to do. Why? Because he's got an ego too. And you don't know what his is going to do. And you don't know what yours is going to do you? You didn't marry the person, you married his ego. And it's not the way you thought it was. I never thought you would do that. I never thought you would do that to me. Well, you were wrong. Who's willing to talk honestly, right? So when you get to the point, you can use meditation, use all kinds of things, whatever you want. When it's said and done, do you notice that you have an ego? And you notice it's a problem. In fact, you notice it is the problem, period. Otherwise, there's just life. Life's unfolding. And by the way, some people think, because activism and stuff, that means I don't do anything? Just life unfolds? No. Life is an interactive sport, but not interactive for your ego. Then it's manipulative. Then all you're trying to do is make life be the way you need it to be for you to be okay. That's why it's ego. See how selfish that is? Is that not what you're doing? Trying to make everybody and everything and all the papers you read, every single thing needs to be the way you need it to be so that you're okay. And what you mean by activism is, how do I go out there and make it be the way I want? When you let go of your ego and thin it out enough, life comes in and it calls on you to interact with it. You can help it, not help you. See the difference? You can help it. You can help what's unfolding in front of you. You can raise it. You can smile. You can say something nice. You can get active and work on it. But you're not doing it because you're not okay with it. You're okay with it. But you're here to help. You're here to work with it. That's the Tao. You're in harmony with the reality of life, and you're here to serve. You're not here to take. You're here to get it the way you want. You know you're out there trying to get it the way you want. Like the strongest activist is the one that can't handle the way it is. It drives me crazy. I can't even think about it. I can't think about what they did. Well, then I really don't think you're the right person to be dealing with it. Because you just admitted you can't deal with it. How about this? I can't handle this. Right? Well, if you can't handle the sight of blood, I hope you're not the one that shows up on my accident. If you can't handle something, you're the worst person to be dealing with it. If you can handle it, you can help. Okay? I can help. How can I help it instead of help me? So it's not that you don't interact. You do interact. But you don't interact from your ego. You don't interact because you can't handle things. Because, oh, I really want that. Oh my God, I need that. I'm going to get that one way or another. Fine, mazel tov, have fun. Because you won't. Nor will anybody around you. Because you're doing it for you. You're doing it because that I just showed you that ego, right? It's just built that way. And that's how it is. Ego cannot be selfless. Ego is by definition about you. So I'm being selfless, I'm giving away. You want something back. You want people to like you. You want people to think, oh, he's a selfless person, I like him. There's ego. But as you thin the thing out, you'll find out that there's love, there's giving, there's a natural flow from the higher self that doesn't have to be filtered by ego. And you become, it's where the great beings are. That's where Christ was. That's where Buddha was. That's where Gandhi, and Martin Luther King. People that transcended their personal self enough to try to help the situation, not for them. That's deep, that little line, isn't it? You see the difference? How do you get rid of ego? Not by getting rid of it. You don't get rid of it. You learn to handle that you have one. There it is. So my husband or wife didn't do what I wanted them to do tonight. I wanted to go out and have a special night. They were in a bad mood. Okay? You let that ruin your relationship. They did not. They were just being them. But you couldn't handle it. Couldn't handle that you expected something nicer tonight and he was in a bad mood. You kept that inside. I'm not going to do what you want. Look how you treated me last night. Ego. It ruins everything. It ruins everything. So maybe because of this talk we had just once, that when he or she comes home and had a bad day, it doesn't be the way you expected them to be, ego, his ego, your ego, that you're clear enough that you notice your ego got hurt. It didn't be the way the ego wanted it. And that's what you do with it. You notice, you look at the ego, say, I'm sorry, it's okay. It's okay. And that's the end of it. You're not holding it, you didn't store it. You learn to handle things. Your ego doesn't know how to. It's built out of the things you couldn't handle. But you're clear. You're the self. That's what witness consciousness is. That's what mindfulness is. All these new age things are not new age. What did Krishnamurti call years ago? Objective observation. That's witness consciousness. You're objective. You're not tainted by the past or the ego. You're here watching, and now you see you have an ego. Don't be ashamed to have an ego. Everybody's got one. And there it is. But this is yours. You have a choice. Devote your life to it, which, believe it or not, that's what you're doing. Everything has to be the way you want, and better not be the way you don't want. Admit it. Okay? And it's strong. Ego's strong. Because it's got all the power of your past and everything. You understand that? It's got all this Shakti stored in it because you gave it to it. You stored it there. All the stuff that happened in your past that you couldn't handle, that you pushed away, all that energy is stored inside the ego. It didn't make it through. That's really powerful. That's why you have anger. That's why you have lust. That's why you have greed. Every single thing is just this energy that you stored shooting up. Okay? So don't underestimate the power of ego. It's tremendously powerful. In fact, that's why every single thing in the world is the way it is. That's why everybody's doing everything that they're doing. Because they don't know that they're not their ego. It's so strong that you think you're it. It's pretty strong. You identify with it. As a spiritual person, a yogi, yogini, a great being, somebody working on themselves, you understand I am not my ego. I have one. I don't deny it. I have one. There it is. And it's extremely strong. And it has the power to pull me into it. Ever lose it? I lost it. Well, you didn't lose your ego. You lost your seat of consciousness that was watching your ego. And you got sucked into it. Okay. So now you understand what's going on. I always wanted to have this talk. Notice I'm not dissing ego. I'm not saying it's the devil. Right? Although all evil came from that. What do they say Lucifer is? A fallen angel. The devil's a fallen angel. Where did he fall? Into his ego. What was that tree in the garden that Adam and Eve ate of? The tree of self-knowledge. I was with God, now I'm with me. I mean, it's just so powerful. Right? What happened when Adam, where are you? I'm hiding. How do you hide from God? How do you hide from who you are? You're God. And Adam stands up and God says, what you got around your waist? A fig leaf. I put fig leaves on a fig tree. What's it doing around your waist? Ready? I was naked. Oh, you started identifying with something that you're not. Every animal's naked. I don't see them wearing fig leaves. But you started to identify with your ego. This is me. I'm the body. I'm male. I'm female. I'm this, I'm that, I'm tall, I'm short, I'm pretty, I'm whatever. You identified the ego with the body. That's the fall from the garden. And it really is a fall from the garden. And what does it say when you fell from the garden? Now you must work by the sweat of your brow to be okay. Go check it out in the Bible. Now you must work by the sweat of your brow. Anybody know about that? Anybody working by the sweat of the brow to be okay? Anybody out there struggling and suffering and anxiety and tension? And there you go. It's because of the ego, isn't it? Okay. The path is Learn to be at peace with your ego. You have one, don't wait till it's gone, because you're not going to be there a long time. Learn to look at it and say, there, I see it. That's my ego. That's just some learned experiences. Now the question is, can you handle it? Can you handle having an ego? Not can you get rid of it? That's what I've learned over all these years. Don't bother fighting with yourself. That's just parts of your being fighting with yourself. That's nothing. Can you handle, I'm asking you, can you handle the fact that you have an ego? Do you have an ego, now that we've talked about it? Can you handle the fact that you have one? Do you see how difficult it is? That's your path. So what I teach is just relax. When the ego is misbehaving and acts up, understand, relax. That's what it means to handle it. I can relax in the face of it. Then that energy is going to make it past you, and little by little, the ego will transmute. You don't transcend the ego. It transmutes into self. The energy that was part of you that just stored down there lets go, and it becomes part of you, and you become a wholer being. All right. I don't know. We had a deep talk. I always wanted to have a talk like this. Just strictly understand what ego is. So now you understand the path. You need to be at peace with what comes up inside of you, because all that's coming up inside of you is your ego. And when you're able to handle it and be at peace with it, it comes into you. Like the rivers flowing into the ocean. It makes it pass, and it thins out. The great masters say there will always be a little ego. Even the greatest enlightened beings, the great ones, it has to be. Otherwise you won't be in the body. You won't bother. You won't bother looking down. Oh, it's so hard to stop. Mayor Baba, one of the highest beings that walked the face of the earth, that people consider an avatar. Literally, he would have a disciple stand outside his bedroom and look in periodically to be sure he was wiggling his big toe. Because if he didn't wiggle his big toe, he would not be there in the morning. He had to have something enough to bring it back. Otherwise, you're merged with God. I told you that witness consciousness, the seat of self, is the essence of spirituality. It's not true. All right? The essence of spirituality is what is the source of self, not what is the seat of self. Because the seat of self is the witness. You're watching. Where did consciousness come from? What's it made of? Not can it transcend the ego. Of course it can. Then the real depth is what is the source of self. When you're no longer looking at your ego, it starts to ascend. You'll feel the Shakti pulling you up because nothing's pulling you down. Ego pulls you down into it, doesn't it? It distracts you, pulls you into it. When you thin it out enough to where you're not pulled down by it, there's the force of Shakti pulling you up. You literally, it pulls you up. You don't have to try to meditate. It pulls you up. But letting go is the ultimate of death. That's what Christ meant by die to be reborn. You cease to be an individual. You cease to even know yourself as individual consciousness. And then what happens? You merge with the universe. You merge with the source of consciousness, which is God. You are of God. Man was created in the image of God. Right now, you are seated in universal consciousness and merged with God. But you're staring at your ego. Okay. I don't want to stop, but I will. Work on these things. Jai Gurudev.